and my beard's out there. Yeah, so this is just going to be like a Q&A session if you guys want to. There's one person watching right now, which is cool. It's great. So if you have any questions, mysteries of life, okay, maybe not mysteries of life, I get too existential, but if you have any questions, that would be... There we go. Live chat. There we go. See if I can move the camera up a little bit more. Good lord. What am I doing with my life? There we go. I think, yeah, this looks pretty good. All right. Is there any Q&As? Any questions? You can just chat them in the chat. As far as I know, there hasn't been any questions yet. Any fun questions? Any... Don't give me like ridiculous questions, but like if you have any questions, some Q&As, that's pretty fun. So, and I'll I think I'll be able to see them on the screen. It's my first time. Oh, nice. Hello, James. How you doing? So yeah, I don't really have much to talk about in terms of everything. I've been gone for the past month, if you've noticed, from the previous upload I've done to now. It's been about a month. And it's mostly because I'm trying to get in gear for producing a certain segment that I usually do every 2 years, and that is my Stephen King month. If you know, from 2017 to 2019, you know, I've done various segments. Oh, you're doing okay tonight? Cool. Nice. I'm feeling a little okay. We tried making some elephant ears at home, which is great. Definitely recommend powdered sugar, cinnamon, and, you know, peanut butter. It's a lot of stuff on one elephant ear, but it's nice. But anyway, back to the Stephen King month segment stuff. So every 2 years, I decide to review like Stephen King related content. So things like movies, television shows, miniseries. Nice. Balls. Wait, what? Call him, what? Who is this person, man? Who are you? You have any questions? You don't need to be calling people names, man. Anyway, back to the whole thing. So every 2 years since 2017, I've done Stephen King month stuff. In my first year, I did a lot of like just a bunch of mini ones. What's my favorite football team? To be honest, I rarely watch football. I really do. But since I'm in the Pacific Northwest, we just kind of have a thing that's kind of unsaid about certain things, where you kind of just support the team that you're like around. So most of the time it's Seahawks, or if it's, you know, baseball, it's the Mariners, which was my great grandpa's favorite team, I think. But yeah, I rarely watch sports. That is the one thing. I know I might not get any, you know, likes with that, but it's just not something I prioritize. But whenever it comes around to Super Bowl, you know, I'm pretty much with everyone else in saying like, oh, hey, look at all these crazy ads they put up every year. You know, there's been some crazy ads. But I will say that one time with I can't remember which Super Bowl it was, but they were like advertising they were going to do the SpongeBob thing, and I was like, oh my god, they're going to pull it out in honor of Steven Hillenburg, and then they fucking pull the rug out of under us, and it's like, what the hell, man? You were going to do the thing, and then you're like, you do part of a thing, and then you just switch it on over to another performance. I'm like, oh, okay. Nice. Fun. Great. But yeah, it wasn't too good. Seahawks are cool, and I like the Seattle Mariners. Nice. I haven't really been keeping stats. The last time I've ever mentioned anyone from the Mariners, it was like Ikkyo. I can't remember what he was in the Mariners, and I can't remember his last name, but I think he was a pitcher. Okay, I'm terrible with names, but it was like the last time I ever mentioned the Mariners, and I'm like, you know, busy going to college and all this other stuff. So, yeah. So when it comes to future stuff I want to try to do, it's Stephen King month for October, and there are 4 that I want to do. It's definitely less than what I did last year, or the last time, not last year. And then it's considerably less than what I did my first time. But I wanted to keep it more focused this year, and have it be pertaining to what has been going on. And with all this stuff, I wanted to cover 1408, which apparently I never talked about ever. So 1408 is on the docket. We have The Mist, which is on the docket, and I would have thought that I would have covered it my first year, but apparently not. Kingdom Hospital is one that rarely gets discussed on YouTube, and I wanted to try to talk about it. And then the last one, oh god, what was my last one? Oh, The Stand. Obviously, a lot of these are more geared towards what's been currently going on, and The Stand is the most obvious, and that is one that has to deal with a pandemic that cripples the entire world, and there's like all these survivors that have to fight, I guess. I haven't seen it, and I'm going to be seeing it soon to take notes on for October. There's also going to be some other stuff too. Like recently I recorded an episode for a podcast called, what was it? Boogeymen or something like, I can't remember what it's called, but it was a Halloween podcast. And I was invited to talk about Rob Zombie's Halloween. And so I'll definitely promote it when it gets put up. But I have I talked about Rob Zombie's Halloween, and what I liked and what I really didn't like about it. And so that, I think it's coming out in October. I'll have to talk to the person that makes the podcast. And as far as other stuff is concerned, my brother wants to, record something with me. And this year we're going to be talking about a certain Halloween classic, the Halloween tree. So we're going to be talking about the Halloween tree. And honestly, it's one of my favorite animated anything, because it's so good. Like, it's so informal, or sorry, not informal, but informational yet entertaining, and it has Leonard Nimoy as like a voice of like this creepy old dude, and I just like it. And we'll be talking more about that towards the end of October. There's one project I've been wanting to get off the ground for a while, but because I never had a Blu-ray ripper until this Saturday, I believe, I'm getting one in the mail. I definitely want to talk about this specific one. And let me grab it out of the shelf here. So, if anyone is familiar with Roland Emmerich, 2012, Godzilla, Independence Day, all that stuff, he made a movie called Making Contact. Now, this movie here, it's weird. It's like he wanted to try to do a Steven Spielberg type E.T. film, but yet he wanted like fantasy elements, and there's a lot of conflicting tones in this. And to be fair here right now, there is 2 different cuts of this film. There is an American cut, and there is a German cut. The German cut is roughly like 10 minutes longer, but apparently it adds more depth and nuance to the American cut. And the American cut is laughable. It's like really bad. I have it on Blu-ray from Kino Lorber, and the restoration's good, but it's like it's still hilarious. And I definitely want to talk about this movie at some point, maybe a Thanksgiving. But like, there's a lot of research that I've done with this one, and I've just been so confused as to why they cut 10 minutes from this movie that would have added more clarification for certain things in the American cut of this specific movie. It's like, why? I'll be talking about it later. But yeah, just to remind everyone, this is a Q&A stream. Do a review of the Wes Craven film Shocker. It's a good idea. I haven't heard of Shocker. I'll definitely take a look at it. There was, oh god, I think I can't remember what film. I remember I got a DVD of a Wes Craven film that I never heard of before, and it was had to do with like biting or something. I honestly don't remember the name of it. But it's like, oh god, I barely remember it. It is so weird. Yeah, I'll probably take a look at Shocker for October. That might be something I'll take a look at because I am a pretty decent Wes Craven fan. I mean, I even just got the Scream films right here, so eventually I'll be talking about those before the new Scream movie comes out because there's definitely a lot to talk about with them. I really enjoy the first Scream movie. One is interesting. Yeah, I'll let you know. The fourth one is interesting because it's like it's not perfect. It's not like great or anything, but I think it comments a little bit too closely to like remakes or reboots. Not entirely sure what this new one's supposedly supposed to be like making commentary on, but I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't really know what else to do. As far as the rest of the year is going, oh yeah, I should probably talk about this. So production on a feature film I was a part of, and I can't really talk about it still, but all I can tell you, what is my favorite '80s and '90s cartoon show? Well, funny. I was born in '97, so I don't have much of a frame of reference for '80s and '90s, except for the ones that I had on like VHS. So I mean, I just got the Batman animated series on Blu-ray, and I've loved this show. I had a VHS copy of the Riddler tape where it was all about like episodes with the Riddler, and I was just fascinated by it. I really like those episodes, and I'm definitely going to need to watch a lot more of these. Darkwing Duck. Okay, so frame of reference here. A lot of my sort of knowledge of '80s, '90s cartoons come from library checkouts. So whenever I would go to the library, there would be like VHS tapes of classic animation, and most of them were Disney. So I had like Darkwing Duck, Goof Troop. I kind of liked Goof Troop, but Darkwing Duck was my favorite out of all of them. But as far Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is obviously also a classic too. I've watched a couple of the episodes mostly though because I at the time most of my knowledge was again limited to what I had at the time, either through thrift stores or library checkouts, and that was about it. Uh, I don't know if you can count this one. The Ronald McDonald animated VHS tapes. Not entirely sure when they came out. I'm not entirely sure when they came out. But I think they were '90s or early 2000s. Not sure if they count as '90s. But but yeah, I have all five of the tapes. So there's that. Apparently, there's like a secret sixth one out there that someone has that never got made into a mass-produced VHS tape. But I don't know. It's a thing. But yeah, I like Batman. I liked Darkwing Duck. I definitely need to build up more of a lexicon from that kind of time frame. I never watched the original Transformers stuff. I've watched the movie, but I never watched the original Transformers animated show. So I'll have to take a look at that. There's just tons, tons of animated shows that I definitely need to catch up on. Let's see, but yeah, getting back on track to Out of Character. So the movie I was on is a movie called Out of Character, which currently is, I believe, in its post production phase. So they're editing it, they're making stills, they're making teaser posters, and you can follow them on social media. I think they have a Instagram and they have a Facebook page. I'm not entirely sure if they have a Twitter account though. But it's basically a fantasy film that has to do with LARPing. And it's funny. I'm not gonna say too much else, but I was brought on board a couple years ago, and then COVID happened. We had to delay the production. Do you like to shop on Amazon? Sometimes. I rarely do. Most of the time, I get my movies from eBay because most of the time they're cheaper. Sometimes though, sometimes they are more expensive than what I would have thought. But Amazon is like fine. for getting movies, but like it's not something I regularly do. Um, but yeah, when it comes to like stuff I need like almost instantly that I can't really get at the moment, Amazon's probably the quickest way. But at the same time, it's just that. Ugh, I forgot what time it is. It's probably means something. All right. Let's see. What was I gonna say? Yeah. So there's that. Out of Character, the film I've been working on over the summer. Currently in post production. Not sure if they're doing any reshoots. Haven't been really notified of anything like that. Um, oh yeah. Also, October is Eastern Oregon Film Festival, and I'm definitely going to be going to that live streaming. I'm not really going to be going over there, unless of course they're going to do what I think they're going to do, and that is they're going to split the the sort of selections they have, where most of them are going to be online, and then there's going to be certain ones that are in person only, which I feel like that would be kind of a bad thing to do. But then again, looking at some of the stuff that is being offered, I could definitely see certain films like Jim Cummings's The Beta Test getting a sort of like in person only event, which makes sense. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if I want to just travel over there during COVID, but we'll see I haven't seen the schedule of where all these movies are going to be located, whether or not the movies are going to be in person or not. They have said that it's going to be partly online again, unlike last time when it was all online. So I'm not entirely sure if it's all of it or just parts of it that are going to be online, and some of it's going to be in person. It would really suck, but honestly, I can't put it past them if they do that. Hmm. But yeah, is there any other questions out there for the audience? Since there's only one. I like Archie, Sonic the Hedgehog comics. Do you prefer Archie, or IDW? Well, funny thing you asked that. So, don't mind the garbage. Get out of here. Anyway, so down here, I have my comics. So I have, at this end, I got Boom Comics. And then I have DC Comics. Sorry. DC Comics here. And then right here is where my IDW begins. So I have myself Back to the Future, Lock and Key, got my Image Comics, got my Marvel, all the way down over here. I also got Scholastic and Miller World, and this one, I guess. I don't know if you saw all that. Hold on. Yeah. So Marvel, got my IDW, and I guess, I kind of prefer IDW, honestly, because when it comes to telling this like weird stories, like, if you've known my channel, I've talked about the Back to the Future comics, of course, and the Boom comic, the Boom comics for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers are actually really funny. I really like them for the most part. I haven't really read any Sonic comics, to be honest. I think I have some individuals in my storage, but I never really read them. Oh, hey, Kathy. There you go. So yeah, this is a Q&A stream for those who just came in. So if you have any questions on my thoughts on certain movies that have come out recently, or any questions about, well, anything except for existential ones, because then I don't like I don't like existentialism. It makes me go crazy. Just kidding. Yeah. So any questions from the audience? Meanwhile, I'll try to see if I can get this Woody off of here. I think this might be the first Woody. What is your favorite horror movie? Ooh. Yeah, your favorite is Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, I did a review of Nightmare on Elm Street a few years ago. I was thinking of some movies for October. Okay. So my favorite horror movie. Oh God, that's a hard one. There's so many like weird horror movies. Some that came out recently that are just like bonkers, like Malignant. I saw that one. I was like, wow, that's a really bonkers giallo film. Uh, but I think one that like sticks in my mind still is Eight Legged Freaks. I don't know why. Eight Legged Freaks. I have arachnophobia. This film scares me even to this day. Like, yeah, you could make the funny joke about like Scarlett Johansson being in here. It's like, oh look, Black Widow before she became Black Widow. Haha, that's funny. But then you get giant fucking spiders and spiders that eat dogs. That still scares me. Some of the effects don't work; they don't hold up today, but some of it does, and it kind of creeps me out. And then, as far as the other question, October recommendations, I honestly haven't seen any of them. I don't get screeners. But as far as what I've been seeing from other people, it seems like Dune is kind of a mixed bag, but some people really like it. Just like Blade Runner 2049 in some respects. As far as some of the reactions I've heard from like Halloween Kills, it seems like it's going to be it's going to be let's see, Halloween Kills. It was as far as like the story goes for Halloween Kills, they were saying like, it's not really satisfying for the most part, but it's very like violent, which is pretty fun, I guess. And then there's Last Night in Soho, which I haven't seen. What's my favorite video game console? My favorite video game console. So I would GameCube was pretty memorable for me because GameCube was one that I was able to play with a lot of friends, right? We would play Mario Kart, we would play some Smash Brothers every now and then. But GameCube was like the coolest system that you could have when I was a kid because you could port it around and you could play it. Xbox is obviously a really good contender for me because the Xbox 360. Well, I mean, granted, the Xbox 360, yeah, GameCube is still one of the coolest. Yes, it is still one of the coolest. Yet I haven't been able to get my hands on another one, which is sad. I hope for one day the Nintendo Switch can get GameCube games onto it in some way, like we already have with like the Super Mario 3D All Stars. We have with 3D All Stars the ability to emulate GameCube games, and you could do emulation on PC. But like, I would love to see some way, like maybe the online thing they've done with SNES and NES, some way to do some port emulation. But I'm not entirely sure if they'll ever do it here. Let me check. Let's see. Let me check my chat here. Okay. If there were any movies that would like to have a do-over, what would you like to have for a reboot? Oh, ooh. Have for a reboot. That one's that one's a little bit tougher to think of because I'm mostly an artist kind of person, and even if the film like sucks and fails, I appreciate the work that they've done. But oh god, yeah, I'm gonna have to think a lot on that one. That is one I got to think on because many people could say like Battlefield Earth, easy. What's my favorite game show currently? My favorite game show is like Lego Masters. I don't know if that counts as a game show because game shows are usually like episodic where it's like, okay, this episode we have these contestants. Next episode we have these contestants. But personally, I like Lego Masters cuz like I'm a big Lego head. I mean, you can see in the background here I got Lego Star Wars and all that stuff. Double Dare, I think is mine due to nostalgia factor. Double Dare is pretty good. I remember watching a bit of Double Dare on like this really tiny TV that we had in my grandparents' house, along with the Nickelodeon Awards. Uh, the Nickelodeon Awards were such a weird time. They still are. It's the only game show, or not the only game show, the only award show that you get like slimed on. Price is Right is pretty good. I like Price is Right. Jeopardy is always one that's like everyone's favorite because Alex Trebek is such an amazing host and like you could learn a lot. Yeah, you miss everyone misses the slime for Nickelodeon. I'm not sure if they'll ever do it ever again because of what's been going on in the world. But but yeah, Jeopardy is a pretty substantial one because like it's been part of the popular culture for so long that even if you never heard of it or ever saw anything, you know some of the references through like memes and through like just the constant internet exposure to certain sounds. Like we all know the Jeopardy sounds like do 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 do, you know, through all that. And then recently, because of all the fiascos that have been happening behind the scenes at Jeopardy, is like, why can't we have LeVar Burton? Oh, look, here's a producer who's an actual asshole that's taking over the role. And then, oops, he got fired from that as well as being a producer. So, personally, I want LeVar Burton, but people have been suggesting like Ken Jennings, which has been I'm not. He's not related to me. My name is Nicholas Jennings, but we have no relation. But yeah, I could see Ken Jennings or maybe one of the other former champions taking up the head of hosting the show for a while. But personally, I like LeVar Burton as an idea because reading Rainbow has been part of a lot of our childhood. I remember specifically reading Rainbow was a thing for when I was in second grade. Yeah, second grade. We watched a lot of Reading Rainbow, and it was just amazing. Like it got me into reading. Least favorite Lego set so far of 2021. Hmm. Well, see, I don't buy a lot of Lego sets. I buy some. I actually went and bought, I think, all of the Infinity Saga sets. And I would say that my least favorite one out of all those, my least favorite out of all the Infinity Saga sets is quite possibly probably the Captain America with the Hydra soldier thing. There's just not there was like nothing much to it. It's just Captain America riding in on an Age of Ultron suit, fighting off a Hydra soldier, which is nice. It's nice. The Lego figures were really nice, but like, it could have been a little bit less money than what it was for me, which I think was like $15 where I was, but it could have been easily $10 or $9 or something like that. But I think the one that I really enjoyed making, even though it took me forever to build, that was the Benatar, the Guardian ship. I will say though, I'm very impressed by like how that builds, but at the same time, it takes so long and there's not a lot of room to like play inside of it if you're wanting to play with it. But I view it as more of like a display piece. Like I have it above my TV as like a display thing, and I really like it. Like it's really well done. Although it was missing a part, so I had to like call in and be like, "Hey, yo, I'm missing a part." So I had another question here. What is my favorite animal? Favorite animal for me is an owl. Particularly snowy owls. But around where I live, there's like great horned owls, and there are, I think, short-eared owls. There's some varieties of animals, but I have been able to see barn owls in the wild. I remember going bird watching with my great aunt, and we went up to a old high school that had been converted into like an office building. And in one of the trees, we could clearly see a barn owl just sleeping in the middle of the day, and I got pretty close to like get some pictures of it. And then let's see, Kathy likes mice and cats. Uh, I like cats. Cats are cute. The only problem with cats for me is that I'm allergic. I don't hate cats. I love cats, but I can't have too long exposure to them. Otherwise, it's just not great. Even my brother still has problems with it, since he's also having the same allergic reactions. It's just not great. But I love dogs. Dogs are my thing. I had a dog a few years ago, and his name was Max. He was a golden lab, yellow retriever mix, and my dad brought him home because he had been through like 5 different owners, and some of them abused him. And when we got him, his paws were like very raw. Like his paws were like bleeding. There was like scabs and shit. And we learned that his previous owner didn't have a lawn at all. Didn't have a lawn. And they had like this sort of concrete area. And we got him in the middle of summer. So we pretty much assumed that he burned his feet on the concrete. And we had to medicate him for like a month. and he was also lethargic too. He was skinny. By the time he was like 5, he was a big chunky boy at that point. Like we fed him so much that we were having some trouble trying to get him to lose some weight at that point. But I really liked that dog, and he was kind of a thing for me to attach to emotionally, because after we got him, about I think about a year or two after my dad died, after we got him, and so I had Max. Max was my friend, and he was an emotional support for me. And then okay, James is saying goodbye. Oh, yeah. Thank you for stopping in, and I appreciate you know you asking me questions. See, yeah, see you, James. So anyway, when it comes to Max, he eventually passed away from hemangiosarcoma, which is a sort of blood thing. He was having problems with his hip, and I remember it because he couldn't really walk up the stairs. So most of the time when I was living at a different house, he couldn't walk up the stairs. He couldn't walk up to my room. So most of the time he would just sleep on the main floor. And I was at college at the time when I got the phone call. And what happened was, it was about a week away from me finishing my first year. And I get a phone call from my mom, and she's like, "Hey, you have any last words to say to Max? Because we're going to be putting him on a stretcher, and we're going to move him into the car because we found him in the back." And it wasn't great. It wasn't really great at all. Um, it was very emotional, and I still have him somewhere. I have him. We put him in an ash box and we buried him. Or no, we didn't bury him. My brother has the full ash container, but I have like a little locket that has his ashes in it. So I have him and my dad. So I'm officially an ash collector. Nice. Not to make a bad joke or anything. So yeah. Is there any other questions anyone has? Because I'm not sure what time it is actually. Because I have yeah. I'm sorry to hear that, but at least you were able to say your last words to him. My own cat passed away in 2019. Oh, damn. Yeah, that's sad. Yeah, it sucks when a pet dies, because like they're not. I mean, they kind of just feel like your family members, but like they don't really talk to you, right? You build the emotional bond through physical contact and like just telling them your secrets and and all that stuff. But yeah, it's not a really good feeling. But yeah, I'm not really sure what time it is, because like at 10 I've been watching American Horror Story recently, and the new episodes tonight, and not entirely sure how it's gonna go down. This season is kind of weird. Not gonna lie, this season is really weird. Because like it's definitely a huge departure in a lot of ways, but in some ways it's not. There's some character writing that isn't the most solid, but like last week there was like this husband character that was a full on asshole, like a full douchebag. And it's like, okay, well they're clearly setting him up to die, and you need to have some emotional attachment to one of the characters that is later on a thing, and as it's just I don't know. Uh, but yeah, I will say American Horror Stories, the anthology series that came before Red Tide and all that stuff. That is a whole experience in of itself, because none of them really connect, but like there were certain episodes I liked, and then a lot of episodes I was like, really, we're doing this. Uh, I really enjoyed the third episode, but it's a 11:15 here. I never saw American Horror Story, honestly, but do you remember Sleepy Hollow? Yes. Oh my god, I do. Sleepy Hollow was such a weird, bonkers idea, and I was really riveted by it. I really liked the main lead. I liked a lot of it, but it was such a shame that it got canceled, because there was some. I can't remember what happened. Wasn't there like some asshole behind the scenes that was like making fun of the lead or something like that? Like I heard there was like some racism allegations towards the lead character actor, Yeah, it was insane. Um, but yeah, I like the idea. It felt like National Treasure, but with like some like supernatural type of stuff. Like obviously none of this makes sense, but like it's like, hey, look, here's like Benjamin Franklin, here's George Washington for some reason, but you have like the headless horseman that it ties into like the American Revolution. It was a very crazy show. I don't remember the drama, but I was in high school at the time and never really into that stuff. Yeah, let's see. When was it for me? I think it was like middle school into I was into Sleepy Hollow. Yeah, Sleepy Hollow was my thing. Fringe was my thing. Fringe. I have it like right here. I've loved that show. Definitely way better than Lost, in my opinion. I know there's some like I know there's some like Lost fans out there, and I'm not sure if any of you are, but it's definitely better in my opinion. And it actually has an ending that makes sense, other than what Lost did. I found a really weird show though that I never heard about before, and it's called Jack of All Trades. I I came across a video of the theme song, and I just kept hearing it in my head like randomly. It's like in 1801 the revolution had been won, and I think this was like, wasn't this like produced by like Sam Raimi or something? It was like a Sam Raimi led thing, and then like the studios were like, nah, after one season we're done. Summary for Fringe. Okay, so Fringe is about an organization, a secret organization that it's okay. It's kind of like X Files with some of the sensibilities of like a procedural show, right? So you have X Files and you have like the FBI and CIA and all this other stuff. You have like transmutation, transmogrification happening. There's like every episode there's always something weird happening, but there's also this underlying story that happens with um John Noble's character as the Doctor. They approach him because even though he's like kind of like a risk, he's also a really smart person. In the first episode, in the pilot episode, there's this virus that like pretty much kills people from the inside out by making their bodies translucent and just like melting their skin. And they're trying to save the life of this one agent, and they have to go talk to John Noble, who becomes a pretty big staple head throughout the rest of the season or the rest of the series. And eventually it becomes sort of a multiversal alternate reality type show where like certain things from one reality is mixing with the other, and there's like these characters that start watching people for some reason. And I don't want to give away too much, but like the show is actually really fun. Like it has some really fun episodes about like maybe certain characters have like a scientific interest and they have some science that goes wrong, or maybe we have this super doppelganger that shows up, and there's just a lot that happens. And and while it does have the procedural stuff and most of the episodes are like episodic, there are some things that connect into the next episode and into the next arc. And there's certain characters that have more than meets the eye, like even through our principal cast, which I think is just really interesting. They even have like this whole segment there. So there's a main character named Olivia, that can like that has like telepathy, but the only way that she could do it is like in a hypertonic chamber or something like that. It's like you fill a chamber with cold water and you just get sunk into it. It's a whole thing, but it's actually really good. Season 5 is actually a pretty decent season. Are there any other shows from the last few decades I would recommend? Ooh, I uh, one of the bigger ones, probably BoJack Horseman. That's a good one. Centaur World. I recently watched Centaur World, and it's a weird mix of just random shit. But I found myself really enjoying it. The songs were mostly catchy, although I will say some of it is kind of like the same tone most of the time. But it's the animation that is just really fun to watch, and there's just some random shit. Honestly, it's like taking drugs. It's like taking drugs. Um, Man of the High Castle. If you're into alternate reality type stuff, if you're into like Wolfenstein, Man in the High Castle is kind of like that. Yeah, it's like taking drugs. But Man in the High Castle is a show that takes place in an alternate universe where America loses World War II, and half the country is split between the Pacific Theater, which is Japan, and the rest of it is from Germany, right? I've heard of Man in the High Castle before. Yeah, and so there's these people that start getting these like mysterious film reels that are from like an alternate reality, our reality, in which the Nazis lost, in which the Axis lost World War II, and it's such a compelling show, and it's on Amazon Prime, which I'm not sure if I'm honestly not sure if you'd be down for Amazon Prime because Amazon's there, but it's pretty good. Along with that, the boys, if you're into cynical like type stuff, yeah, The Boys is pretty interesting for the most. Invincible is really good. Invincible is like probably top recommendation from me for anything on Amazon Prime. As far as things on Netflix, I've honestly haven't seen anything. Like I've seen some things. Again, Centaur World I've seen The Midnight Gospel, which is just amazing. Like I love that show. But as far as other shows are concerned, Lock and Key is good. I need to mess more with Amazon Prime. Yeah, there's definitely some good stuff on Amazon Prime. It's just the user interface that's just really, really not great. It needs to be updated a lot. um, I've been watching What If, and I've been really enjoying that show. Some episodes are a little inconsistent, but I've really liked it. Invincible was good. Yep. As far as Netflix, Lock and Key on Netflix, definitely a really good one. It's adapted from the Joe Hill comics, the son of Stephen King, and that show is really good. As far as other recommendations on Amazon, real quick, I do have a couple more. Upload, that one's a show about like commercializing the afterlife. Essentially, your essence can be downloaded into this sort of server that it's like it plays like the afterlife, but they've pretty much monetized it, and it's a lot of like interesting commentary on like class divides and how classism plays into even death, and there's some really funny stuff in the show, but it does have that little meta commentary, or if you're into it, it plays really close to the chest on that one. um, and Good Omens, ooh, Good Omens, love that show. I love Good Omens. I was kind of interested to see what would happen with season two because they just announced season two for Good Omens. But Good Omens is adapted from the Terry Pratchett book of the same name, and I just love it. Just flat out love it. Just go in with no expectations if you've never heard of it before. It's really fun. It has some of the same spirit as like Monty Python, but it has like its own sort of take on like biblical stuff. I really like it. It's really funny. As far as stuff on Hulu, I recently watched The Act, and I'm not entirely sure if I should recommend it because upon researching it, there was like a lot of stuff that they just kind of made up, and there was some stuff that was like true to life, and like I liked The Act. There's definitely good acting from Patricia Arquette, and I can't remember the name of the main actress. Joey King, I believe. That's her name. They did a good job. It's just I'm not sure if I should recommend it. Um, let's see what else. What else on Hulu? I haven't really seen a lot of other stuff on Hulu. Um, I've been seeing Star Trek Lower Decks, which is pretty good. It it's funny. I like it. I like the animation. It has some funny in jokes. If you're a Star Trek fan, you might enjoy it. If you're not, you still might enjoy it because there's some really fun and some really funny comedic situations. Yeah, Lower Decks. Yeah, Lower Decks is a very interesting show because it's definitely different than the other Star Trek shows. Because like when you approach like a Star Trek fan on like social media, they're like some of them are just gatekeeping assholes, right? Some of them are just like, oh, but it has to always be this way, right? As a Trekkie, I might look into that too. But gosh, so many streaming services. Yeah, that is the other thing that might stop some people from like going out to see some of these shows is that streaming services, there's just so many. I agree. But Paramount Plus is not entirely terrible because I've been able to check up on like shows I've never really watched, and some shows that move to the platform like Evil, which I think I've only watched the first episode, but it's kind of like it's kind of like a police procedural, but there's like some supernatural shit that's happening and has to do with like heaven and hell. There's a lot of stuff with that. Um, I need to check out more of it, honestly. But there's Mike Coulter is I think Michael Coulter, or the guy who played Luke Cage in the Luke Cage TV show. He's in that. That's also good. In terms of other Star Trek shows, I haven't necessarily started watching Star Trek Discovery. I only watched the first two episodes of the entire show a few years ago, and I was just kind of out of the loop at that point, so I never really, was around with the, fan fervor or some of the fan outrage or whatever. But I did watch Picard. I enjoyed it. There's some stuff that's like really stupid in that show, but I really liked it. Like, I heard Discovery got a little better. Yeah, that's what I heard too. I heard that show got a lot better after the first season, because the first two episodes definitely put me off, because I'm like, you started this entire war, and you're now going to be entrusted to be part of this mission. Okay, sure, we'll go from there, and it's probably going to be good. The episode with Mud is really good without any spoilers. I'll keep that one in mind. And then recently they announced stuff like Star Trek Prodigy, which looks like a fun little Nickelodeon show for kids, Star Trek and all that stuff. It's a good entry point for kids, I think, because like for me though, my introduction to Star Trek was with the movies, the original 6 movies. We had the VHS set. And then I watched the Next Generation films, I watched the J.J. Abrams films, and all that stuff. And that was my introduction. I've watched a few of the episodes. I watched the more notable ones, like Star Trek: The Next Generation's episodes with the Borg. I remember that. Oh god, what was that? Best of Both Worlds. That's right. Best of Both Worlds, parts 1 and 2. Those are pretty notable episodes. Really notable. But yeah, let's see, what else? Disney Plus. Again, I've already mentioned What If. I really like that one. As far as the other ones, I haven't really been interested in a lot of them. Right? Like, they have the Doogie Howser reboot, and I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. I did start to watch, though, the Mysterious Benedict Society, or it's something like that, and it's such a weird premise. So it's like this secret organization that's trying to, like, get the world to become a better place by testing children for, quote, special traits, and they put them into it. It's weird. It's like the weirdest show. It's such a weird setup, and it's kind of kooky. It kind of feels like a Barry Sonnenfeld production, but it's not. I don't know. If you have Disney Plus, at least check out the first episode, because it's honestly weird, but I kind of enjoy it. And then let's see here. I think my earliest notable Trek stuff is seeing First Contact on TV. Seeing it now, I'm surprised I wasn't scared by it. Oh yeah, there's some scary stuff with that. With that one, the fact that like people get overtaken by technology, it's kind of creepy. It's that sort of techno, fear kind of stuff. Especially the melting Borg Queen. Yes. That is nightmarish. Seeing the Borg Queen get lowered down into the body, I was really impressed with that. I was like, how'd they do that? And I looked into that and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. How they, like, made it seamless from, just the top of Tilda Swinton's head. Or, not Tilda Swinton. I can't remember who played the Borg Queen. But they just mashed it together in such a seamless way. I was really blown away by it. But yeah, there's some very scary stuff. But First Contact is a very notable film for me, because I love it. I honestly love it. Some people really don't like it, but I like the time travel shenanigans. I like the new design of the ship. Honestly, I like the Enterprise's E's like sleek design, as opposed to the Star Trek D or the Enterprise D with like the big saucer head. It's just like, it's not for me. I like it for my first real Trek thing, I think. Yeah. I think my other big first notable exposure to Star Trek was surprisingly at a convention. I went to a convention in Washington, and my first notable experience was like some guy dressed up as a Klingon. I was dressed up as Obi-Wan Kenobi because I was a big Star Trek head, and then I see like a guy in a Klingon outfit. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I got this little action figure that's like for a Klingon. I'm not entirely sure if I still have it or if it's in storage. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff with Trek, and it's just it makes it hard for new people to get into Star Trek because like there are definitely some gatekeepers online that are really just not great. And I saw Tony just join the chat. Hey Tony, how you doing? Uh, and you know, I'm glad that like Paramount and CBS are making new ways for new people to get introduced into Star Trek, as opposed to just like having the gatekeepers come in and be like, oh, but you know, that show is like terrible. You should only start with the classics. And like, I've been more of like, you know, a type of person that's like, okay, well, here's some new stuff. And if you're interested in some of the old stuff, let's suggest some episodes that you might be interested in. And it's the same thing with like other fandoms too, like Star Wars. If you're a fan of the new Star Wars stuff and you're interested in going back and looking at the old stuff, that's fully supportive. I honestly don't like it when like someone is just like, oh, well, you only have to start with the classics. Don't start with the new stuff. It's like it's also the same thing with Marvel comics or any comic. It's like, you know, just pick a comic you're interested in and go from there. Like if you want to go check out like certain stories like Chip Zdarsky's Spider-Man life story, do that. And if you're interested in anything else Spider-Man, continue on through that. Here's some recommendations, you know? I appreciate people who are just more like supportive of people just exploring a fandom as opposed to just having these rigid ideas of like this is where you start. Always. This is where you have to start at all times, otherwise you're a heretic, which is what I get sometimes. Like for example, Star Trek Enterprise has satellite. Wait, hold on. I need to read that. Hold on. I was happy to find people that are very open. Trek has interesting concepts with the early series. Like for example, Star Trek Enterprise has the satellite AI that steals humans to use them as CPUs. Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot that one. I remember there was a episode of Voyager that was on TV the other day, and this Voyager episode, they go back in time, and this guy's like stealing ideas from the future to like integrate into the present, and slowly but surely the Federation's existence goes out of existence, and it's like an interesting sort of Back to the Future premise where it's like, well, now we have to go back in time to stop this person from using the almanac and all this stuff. It's a really fun episode. Let's see this one. Tony says, I was at a con in DC back in 2019. Jonathan Franks was there, and he made a good natured joke towards my mom. She wears it as a badge of honor to have been roasted by him. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Damian Clark. Okay. Now, this is... I was at Eugene Comic-Con, and I was filming a lot of the panels, and I was... hold on. Sorry. So, if you want to know... fun roastings. I was at Eugene Comic Con a couple years ago, and I was filming the interview segments, right? The panel segments. And Damian Clark, who plays Claptrap in Borderlands and some other places, I was trying to get like, you know, end of videos sort of like, you know, thanks for watching type of stuff, right? And he kept roasting me on like how to use my camera because I was very inexperienced with DSLRs at the time. So I was like trying to move it back and forth, trying to use the zoom and the focus reader, and he kept roasting me, and he kept roasting like the guy that was like right next to him. I can't remember who was next to him, honestly, but it was really funny. He was just a really funny person, kind of a sarcastic asshole, but he was really funny. He was a really great guy. Let's see. The whole cast of TNG seems very nice. Yeah. I watched this clip of Patrick Stewart that I think went on The View, right? And what happened was he went onto The View, and he invited Whoopi Goldberg to reprise Guinan from TNG in Picard season 2, which I found like really nice, and I felt was like a really big heartwarming moment because I'm a big fan of Guinan. such a great integral character into the Star Trek mythos of her being kind of like a guide, but also, you know, being kind of the bar hand. Like, she's like a really cool character. I liked her. Yeah, but I do think a lot of people are like nowadays with Star Trek, a lot of people are really liking Voyager nowadays, and I could not be more like proud of that because I'm also a really big fan of Voyager. I love the concept of like a ship that just gets so totally lost that they're so disconnected from every part of the Federation that they have to manage on their own, and it goes on for 7 seasons, and I really liked it. Some episodes are not created equal, of course, just like with every other episode, but like I like the general concept, and it kept me watching all the way through. But Deep Space Nine is practically everyone's favorite Star Trek show. Practically everyone's. And it's hard not to see the reason why. I mean, you got Cisco, you got like so many different characters, even characters you would see from the Next Generation, you know, like Worf finally getting to be, you know, part of a different crew, which I thought was pretty cool. My favorite was Voyager, I believe. Yeah, Voyager's really good. Um, one show though that I wish I haven't seen anything for a season 3 of this particular show, and that is the Orville. When I was watching the Orville, I loved it. It's a really campy, dumb, slight homage to like classic Star Trek, but it really had its own mythos, its own lore, its own sort of sense of what it wants to be. And I really like the ship designs. I really like the story. Even Seth MacFarlane I kind of like in this show. But like as far as season 3 is concerned, I kept hearing like it's going to be on Hulu, and it still hasn't been made. I haven't heard like jack shit about that one. But I was really enjoying that show. I even liked the commentary on gender dynamics and gender identity with oh god, I can't remember the name of that character, but it's like a bunch like a planet full of like men. It's like it's interesting. Let's see, Tony. My mom was in a schooner cart due to her weight. As she was leaving the table, she had a moment of clumsiness. The joke Franks made was him asking if she had a license to drive it. Hon- Honestly, that's a good one. I like it. That's a really good one. uh, oh my goodness. That is a really good one. Uh, yeah, it's great. But yeah, as far as like fandoms are concerned, there is definitely like those who are very toxic and very like formal. Like this is where you have to start. And I'm kind of seeing it now with Marvel fans because I'm a big fan of the MCU. I've been there ever since the beginning, and I'm fully aware that all of this is taking place in a consecutive timeline, and then we have the multiverse. But if people want to start with the multiverse stuff and go back and just watch the stuff at their own leisure, I'm perfectly okay with that. I don't think anyone needs the validation or anything. Like, if you're interested, be interested. Even if it's the littlest things. Like, if you started watching it with WandaVision, you're a fan. Like, you don't need to have the biggest extensive knowledge, and you don't need to have bought, like, so many things. If we weighed our fandoms by how much we bought something, I think that just ruins everything. Because it's like, it becomes a contest of, like, which one has the bigger, like, collection? Which one has the bigger dick? You know, like, not to be too vulgar, but that's what I had. The Sam Raimi fans sometimes get a little too much for me as a Maguire Spider-Man trilogy fan. Yeah, speaking as someone who is a Sam Raimi Spider-Man fan, even as far as having this in my collection. Hold on. God damn it. I have this in my collection, the collector's edition DVD set with everything still inside. Bought this off a guy for like $10. Comes with a sealed Amazing Fantasy that was exclusive for that. But there's like, I'll talk more about this in a future video. But yeah, there's like nice as it comes with the comics too. There's just one comic in there. There's also like an art print, which is like really cool. It comes with like a Stan Lee It comes with like a Stan Lee, Kevin Smith interview. I remember buying the DVD for that at a, where is it? Oh, right here. So, gosh darn it, my DVDs are falling out everywhere. It came with this the Stan Lee's Mutants Marvels or Mutants Mar yeah alliteration. Mutants, Monsters, and Marvels. It's a Kevin Smith interview, and I remember buying it at the dollar store. And apparently, the collector's edition also comes with it. So now I have two copies of this. Granted, that one's sealed, plus a DVD edition of the first movie. But yeah, there definitely are Raimi fans that are taking things too far. Like, I get having a favorite Spider-Man. Mine is obviously still going to be the Sam Raimi films, but honestly, I would also say Into the Spider-Verse is honestly the best Spider-Man movie made. Full stop. Like, that's the only one that's like the best. The close second for me is Spider-Man 2, and that's a really good one as well. Like, there's definitely like people can have their own opinions, and I don't know if you could hear it in the background. I have a parakeet that's just, talking up a storm up there. Oh god. My phone fell off. My phone. Oh my god. Sorry. Hey, Renato. Nice to see you here. Yeah, lol. But yeah, I have. So this is a Q&A stream, Renato. So if you have any questions, definitely toss them up. I'm probably gonna do this for maybe another 30 minutes or so. But it's really good to to finally get back on YouTube and like talk about things. But yeah, in terms of Spider-Man fandom, again, everyone has their likes, and I just kind of wish people would just stop bullying people all over like which version they like the best. Like, everyone has their best. I rescued a Spider-Man 2 Collector's Edition box. Oh, nice. That's really cool. I like that. I haven't been able to find that. The only thing I've been able to find of a Spider-Man 2 like Collector's Edition is like just this like DVD thing. What do you think of Malignant? It is bonkers. It is a really bonkers movie. It's a Giallo inspired film. And if you don't know what Giallo is basically Italian for yellow film. And it's usually, you can tell what a Giallo film is with like weird camera choices, weird shots, expressive colors, like very, very saturated colors. And you see that a ton in this film. And it definitely is a weird, like, James Wan film. And you don't really get a lot of these like B movies. You honestly don't. Like, not anymore. It's honestly the weirdest thing that we don't allow directors to do their own weird thing. It's not a great film. There's definitely some pacing issues. There's definitely some tonal issues. Like, there's a certain song that plays a lot, and there's a lot of sound cues that are just like randomly put there. And of course, the story is definitely inconsistent. But I am glad it happened because it allowed for just like this weird creative energy just to be in this one film. And it definitely has its fans. You can't tell me that a silly fucking movie like this doesn't have its fans. Like, there's definitely like twists that I saw like coming a mile away. Even from the first frame, I was like, okay, kind of figured that this is going to happen. This might happen. Some things I was close to, but like the result of it was like very interesting. Like the whole reveal of who the killer is, I was kind of close, but it was like really like, it's just really out there. It's like this whole parasitic twin, and like, oh my god, the weird practical effect of what they did with the head, that was actually kind of cool. The weird, although I will say the third act definitely is a weird thing because most of the third act is just action. Not a lot of horror that goes on. It's a lot of action and a lot of resentment too from this killer. It's just like, yeah. Yeah. But I don't think it's like the best movie of the year, but I do think it's an interesting movie in the career of James Wan. Like, he's been known for having some oddball directions, like Dead Silence. Dead Silence is a weird movie. I like it. It's a weird ghost story, but I think it works for the most part in its own early 2000s type of setting. If you made that same film today, I don't know if it would have the same effect. I really don't. But I'm glad that Warner Brothers allowed for James Wan to do his own thing between Aquaman movies, which is also another weird direction for him because like it's a weird thing that I've noticed and a lot of people have noticed is that horror directors are going into superhero movies. Like you have David F. Sandberg who did Annabelle Creation, or sorry, not Creation, Annabelle Creation and Lights Out. He did Shazam, and he's doing Shazam 2. And now we have James Wan, who's been known for Saw, Insidious, The Conjuring, Dead Silence, and going into making Aquaman movies. And yeah, I found that really. I found that was really weird to happen. And also now Andy Muschietti doing it, and now he's doing the Flash movie. Reminds me of Peter Jackson before Lord of the Rings. Yeah, he did like Frighteners and oh god, the one with the like. I remember there was like one with a lawnmower. Like this guy like starts a lawnmower and just like goes through a bunch of like deadite type people. Like I can't remember the name of that one, but yeah, he did early stuff with horror. Yeah, The Feebles. Yeah, Dead something. Easy movies for October. What do you mean by easy movies? I kind of need some clarification for that one. Like easy as in like an easy A, or like just an easy watch. I'm not entirely sure what you're meaning on that one. Easy as in easy to get into if you don't know what your friends are into. If you don't know what your friends are into, well, Dune might not be the one. Dune. There's a lot of stuff you might want to know before going in. I'd say probably the easy bet, probably Last Night in Soho. Like if you have friends that are fans of like his filmography, like maybe Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Baby Driver, the Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, any of those, might be pretty interested in going to see that one. Now, granted, I have not seen Last Night in Soho, so I can't speak to whether or not it's actually good. But if I was to say like, an easy up, probably Last Night in Soho, because he's been on a track record of making really good movies and even just entertaining ones. Like it doesn't have to be like the best thing ever, but he definitely makes entertaining ones. Like Baby Driver's definitely entertaining for multiple reasons, not just for the choreography and the editing and like the sound mixing. Like it's just really good. But the fact that Kevin Spacey just gets run over by a car, like I don't like Kevin Spacey. I really don't nowadays. But hold on, I yeah, I do. Baby Driver is honestly my favorite movie of the year. I think. Yeah, Baby Driver is really good. I remember watching it and I saw some other people that are just like they were just like, oh, I felt this movie was not as cool. It's like, yeah, sure. It's still a really fun movie, regardless. Like, it still cracks me up with the Michael Myers mask. It's like, this is Michael Myers. No, we're the Halloween guy. That was and Jamie Foxx in that movie. Pretty cool. I never expected him in that movie. Pretty cool stuff. John Hamm. Like, you have a really good cast in this movie, and the action and the editing and the sequencing just built off of that one scene that everyone was a big fan of in Shaun of the Dead. I thought that was a really cool idea just to extrapolate that and make it into its own thing. That's a really cool idea. Let's see. I'm doing a Harry Potter marathon and it's good. It's weird coming back to watch. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there's definitely some weird things that go on with rewatching older movies, especially ones from your childhood. Like you rewatch like the Harry Potter franchise and you find out it's like, oh, there's like some things that you just like that's not too good. Like like the one character, Cho, I think Miss Cho, I believe that's her name. Like her character gets barely anything. Like she's like one of the only Asian characters and there's barely anything for her to do. Which is just and they introduce her like late into the game and then after that point they don't utilize her anymore as a way to be like, "Hey, look, this person You had Cedric Diggory who died, and it was only there for a kiss. It's almost 12 here. I'm gonna have to go. Have a nice night, everyone. Yeah, thanks, Kathy. Oh boy. Yeah, but the Harry Potter marathon, I definitely it's pretty good. I liked Harry Potter as a kid. There's definitely some things that could have been helped. Some things in the lore that could have been changed. Uh, Definitely with the house elves feeling like they're good enough to be slaves, or they want to stay slave. Like it's really bad. The stuff with the house elves are still really bad. Even reading it, oh boy, I it's just it's not great. And then like the whole thing with Fantastic Beasts, I honestly don't care about Fantastic Beasts 3. Just plain and simple. I like Mads Mikkelsen. I really do. He's a really terrific actor. He's done some really good roles, but I'm just not interested in it. I'm just not. After like Fantastic Beasts 2 and how just dense that was, it was just too much. There was too much going on. The pacing was so slow. Malignant. I only enjoyed the third act. Okay. Watch the new Red Letter Media video. It's really good. Yeah, probably. I should watch that. I've barely watched Red Letter Media in a while. The only ones I ever really watch are like the best, the worst, or the sort of like they look at weird VHS tapes that they find and they're like, hey, let's watch this one. It's just like a weird exercise video. Oh, here's a low budget feature film that someone made. I honestly enjoy that. I also like the episodes where like Macaulay Culkin's on as like the intern. That one's always kind of fun. Let's see. I was on something. I don't remember. Yeah. Red Letter Media, there's some takes I like with them, and there's some things I've disagreed with them on, but largely Red Letter Media is fine. I like them. Yeah. I don't have much of an opinion on them, honestly. Yeah. I don't have much else to say with Red Letter Media. Definitely a little bit way better than Nostalgia Critic. I'll tell you that much. I've said my piece on it before. Now, not gonna say it again. Any other questions? Woody's gonna stare at you. Honestly, don't. Am I seeing that right? Is his eyes? Is his eyes crooked? I don't know. How am I doing? I'm doing well. I'm not entirely sure what time it is. But but I'm doing well. Haven't caught COVID, which is nice. Let's see. Yeah, I've been just kind of sleeping for a long time. It's not great, but I have some executive dysfunction going on where like I feel like I'm going to do something and then like I just don't. I've honestly been playing some games I haven't yet played, like Ghost of Tsushima. I finally got my hands on a copy of it, and I've been playing that for a while. And I'm almost done with the first playthrough, and it's really fun. I really liked it. I finished the campaign, by the way. I finished the DLC. I'm just in the process of getting all the collectibles. Have you seen Free Guy? Yes, I have seen Free Guy, and my blunt opinion of it is that it's okay. I think it's okay. It has its fun moments, and it actually does fan service in a way that's not intrusive and kind of feels almost natural considering the world of Free City, right? There's some things that like Ryan Reynolds pulls towards the end that is like, okay, that's a fun little fan reference. That's a fun little fan servicey type thing. And it's nice. I felt the main story with the two programmers that are trying to figure out if the main company used their source code. I found the reveal of what all the reveals were with that actually kind of heartwarming, with like this guy making the code as a reference to his girlfriend. Yeah, I felt that was kind of cute. I liked it. Taika Waititi was fine. he wasn't like the best, but I think the one thing that I'm kind of over almost at this point is Ryan Reynolds. I like him. Don't get me wrong. He's really funny. He could be dry witted. He could be really great with delivering a punchline. But it's kind of been this way for like the past 10 years where he's been playing the exact same character. And it's the same sort of dry wit, sarcasm that we see in Deadpool and all that stuff. But yeah. Renato, yep. Need to go to sleep? All right. Have a good sleep. Good night. And I think that might be it for me as well because my battery's low. So, and I gotta go take out the trash. So, so yeah. Yeah. Bye. I'll see you guys later. Boop.